Hey guys, this will be a presentation for a McKinney Vento group in Wilson County, Tennessee. Some of the people have been looking at it. Now we have a new McKinney Vento person, and today's presentation will be to show her how the study buddy can benefit her programs. Brianna, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. There we go.
There she is. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Doing really,
Good.
really good. Awesome. Well, listen, congratulations on your new position, I guess, right?
Yes, yeah, this is my third week. I realized I didn't have Zoom downloaded on this. That's why it took me a second to get in.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's good. Do you typically use Zoom or Teams, or what do you use?
It kind of fluctuates. Our district as a whole is actually a Google district. All of our
Okay.
students have Chromebooks, and so it just kind of varies between Teams and Zoom. And I think there's Google Meets too that we use sometimes. So it's all
Okay.
over the place.
It is, but it has a lot of similarity too. So anyway, well, what did you do prior, if you don't mind me asking, prior to coming into McKinney Vento? What were you doing?
Yeah, so I've actually kind of been involved with the McKinney-Vento Act for a while. I got my bachelor's degree in social work a few years back, and I had done an internship with Nashville's McKinney-Vento program. And then
Mhm.
once I graduated, I worked in a couple nonprofits, and then I worked at a school in Metro for a while, doing like the resource room and just different things for the students. And then made it back into Wilson County, which is where I was raised to do their McKinney-Vento program now. So I've done some
Fantastic.
different things, but it's all kind of been around students and housing and that type of stuff.
Fantastic. Well, good. Well, congratulations again. I know that working with Sheila, we've been trying to set up an appointment, but because of illness, because of people who are not available, so the timing was right when you took the
Yes.
position. That was it.
Yes.
um, can you see my screen where it says McKinney Vento? Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay, good. I always like to make sure because sometimes the Zoom works on the when you share the screen. Sometimes it does or doesn't. Sometimes it's a user error. We'll blame it on that too. I'm not sure what you know about Brainchild, or are you familiar with us at all?
I am not. We
Okay.
have the sample here, and Sheila did show me that just how you
Okay.
put the cartridges in and can kind of use it to track what the grade levels and different things. But as a whole, I'm not very familiar
Okay.
with it.
Okay. Well, we've been around for about 35 years. Company's based out of Florida. I live in West Tennessee, outside of Jackson. Grew up in East Tennessee, almost at the foothills of the Smokies. So I've gone from east to west, and of course our company's down in Florida. Been there for a while. Been with this group for about 22 years, and especially over the past decade, I guess, McKinney Vento has been a big part of what we are doing. And one of the main reasons is because the mobility and the accessibility of the program, the Study Buddy. As you can see, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at it, I'm hope that you, as you are working with it, you saw how that it differs from other programs out there.
Mhm.
One of the main things that it does, of course, is completely Wi-Fi free. That's a big issue right there. A big concern I know within McKinney Vento is connectivity. Then also too is just with that connectivity, you have that consistency on individuals working with instruction. And then too, our pedagogy, the way we've designed it for the teaching component, for the play lesson, the study, and the test, it's proven to be very, very effective. But let me just go back over now. uh, As I bring up the power, what my plans are is just to go quickly through this PowerPoint because I want you to get a better idea. I know you've already worked with the study buddy. I want to see if you have any questions. Um, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, and I don't want to insult your intelligence, go through everything
You're fine.
too much on the PowerPoint itself. But I do want to help you better understand how this program fits in well with McKinney Vento. One thing, there is no annual fee on this program. A lot of applications out there, even when you have the applications for iPads and Android tablets, you're going to pay an annual fee for those apps. Well, this you do not.
Okay.
The thing about the Study Buddy is, and this is our system, our device, that once you purchase it, you own it, but we continue to support it. I mean, if something were to happen to the device, and things happen within technology, if something were to happen to either the Study Buddy or the cartridges within a year's time, we simply will replace the cartridges or the Study Buddy. Okay. Another thing about the Study Buddy is, unlike the iPads, your smartphones, or even some of the other tablets, where you're continually updating the operating system, this doesn't have that. We've created our own operating system. It's based off of an Android system. However, you will not have to update it. What that means, you won't have to bring them back in and spend all that time updating to get them back out. The only thing that will ever change was in the cartridges, and that would be for the T and Ready or the TCAP, depending on what our Department of Education decides to do and how often they decide to change the content there. But let's just go to the next one. You've had a chance to work with it, hopefully, and you can see how easy it is to use. As you saw, it is touchscreen. Now, the one that you have, I believe it should be silver. That's
Yes.
typically what I use within my K-12 and your programs. What you're looking at here is the transparent model. We also work within juvenile justice and corrections, which I think is a great testament on the durability and the longevity and the security of this device itself. And the great thing about the Study Buddy is there's no other applications that work on this system other than what's in that cartridge, which eliminates our students going to put things they should not go to. Even if it's not an inappropriate site, if they're working on, or if they're viewing things or working on things that does not pertain to their academics, if they should be working on that, then it's inappropriate. And this just eliminates all those distractions and those kind of things. But as you look at the Study Buddy, it is touch screen, as you saw that, hopefully, or you can use the buttons. Everything is multiple choice, A, B, C, or A, B, C, and D. Charger port there, very similar to your phone. The headphone connection, we did not send one with it, but it's just a standard round 3.5 millimeter headphone connection, much like some other different types of systems have. But the purpose of that, if you watched the Study Buddy or worked with it, it has two different types of audio and visual on it for the play lesson, which teaches the concept, and also it's text to speech, meaning it will read the content to the students. That's why that's needed. That's why that's used. Because whether you're in a classroom environment, whether you're on a school bus, whether you're in a shelter, no matter where you are, then you've got that privacy of instruction by putting that headphone in. Next to that is mini HDMI. That's for you and I as instructors or teachers or social workers to use. That anything seen on here, you can connect it to the mini HDMI, to standard HDMI, and project it upon a screen. Of course, the slot where the cartridge goes in, the power button, much like our phone, the volume rocker, that increases the volume for the play lesson or decreases, and the same thing for the text to speech. On the right-hand side, the controls over here just allow you to toggle up, toggle down, to highlight the areas that you want to work on. Once you select those, or once you highlight those areas, if you do not use the touch screen, you just simply hit select, you go right into it. The menu button is used for twofold reasons. You can stop the play lesson or go back to the previous screen. On the back side here, and I know this is the transparent, yours is silver, but it also has a security screw. And what that does, that prohibits activity or people, our students getting inside the machine itself. because it does have a rechargeable battery. So that means you don't have to buy batteries for it, and just like the phone. However, what makes this different, this battery will last you about 6 hours, which is
Okay.
uncommon in technology. And it takes about an hour to 2 hours at the most to charge it up. So, and again, you can see that's very simple to use and to navigate through. And the key point is right up here, it's Wi-Fi free. You don't have to worry about the students getting into any kind of things, things they shouldn't be getting into, and to be able to use the program anytime they need to use it. What I like about too our packaging for McKinney Vento, you have that protective carrying case that also has, of course, the charger and the adapter in here, and two slots. Actually, there's three slots for the cartridges, which makes that nice because if I'm one of your students, or if I were to give it to the student, I can simply put the cartridge in there I want them to work on. They zip it up, they take it with them in this protective case. So logistically, keep it together and protecting it's very simple. Now, hopefully, what you've seen too, as you look at the Study Buddy itself, it is a very sturdy device. And as a matter of fact, in our 35 years of being around as a business, we were one of the first ones to create a handheld device for education. And when you do, it has to be a device that's going to take a lot of punishment, be very, very resilient, be able to bounce back. Okay. Now this is a sample of just some of our scope and sequence mechanics we have. First of all, let's just go through very quickly the programs that we offer. Achiever is based upon, for antenna C, will be based upon the TCAP, the TN Ready. I have it from grade 1 to grade 8. I have it from math, language arts, science, and social studies. So for each grade level, for each subject, that would be one cartridge. And every cartridge has over 1,000 questions. What that means is there's hours upon hours of instruction with each of these cartridges. It's not something you're going to use up within 1 or 3 weeks. So the Achiever series, looking at that, that's based upon our state standard. Now below that, here's a scope and sequence for the mechanics. Mechanics is more of a foundation building series for my students who are two or more grade levels behind where they need to be. This is one cartridge here, level 1 math. And again, every lesson has 30 to 50 questions. Every cartridge has over 1,000 questions. So what I always do is when whatever you purchase, I will make sure that you get a scope and sequence of that material. That's important because
Mhm.
you, as your teachers and your social workers, who's ever working with the students, need to be able to see what's inside that cartridge. I don't want you to put the cartridge in, turn it on, and see what's inside. There's no time for that. And also, too, you can better lay out the IEPs this way too, and create
Mhm.
more of a efficient, more of a structured type of education plan for our students. Down below here is GED, high set, and these are our high school equivalency. And then also two Pathfinders is more of an adult basic education. It supports if you're familiar with that, it supports the TABE and the CASIS, or the CASIS rather. So that's the series that we have, and each of those we have on the cartridges. As you've already figured out, it's very simple to use. Basically, put the cartridge in, you choose a subject, then choose a lesson. The pictures here indicate where a student is actually just using a toggle switch and hitting select, or you can come over here and just use a touch screen and put this select button here, or not the select, but select the actual lesson that you want, and it will take you right into that. And then lessons, then from that point, it will show you the play, lesson, study, and test. Here's just a definition on what those three modes are. The play lesson, every lesson has one. It's about a 45 seconds to a minute and a half video that shows a student what the lesson is all about. I find that's very powerful. They can play it over and over and over again until they understand the concepts. Down below that is study, a study feature. What it will do out of the questions for each of the lessons, it has 30 to 50. It will randomly pull out 10. And then once you go into study, select study, it randomly will pull out 10. And if I answer a question, it will immediately show me if it's right or wrong. And if it's wrong, and it will have a red X, I simply hit the explain either on the screen or push the letter that's associated with that wrong answer, press it again, and it will provide the feedback. Why it's wrong, and the steps to find the correct answer. I find the correct answer, then we'll validate why my answer is correct. So as we begin to look at that, now this little device becomes now electronic handheld tutor. And especially for my students who are struggling in their academics, this is such a wonderful tool for them. For it provides more of a strong level of consistency of instruction. Down below that is the test. Once again, if you select test, it'll randomly pull out 10 questions. I go through all 10, come to the very end, I've given a score. At that point, I can review my mistakes. This is just a sample of what you've already seen. More than likely, if you work with a study buddy, a sample of the play lesson. This particular one lasts 1 minute and 17 seconds. A sample of our questions, sample of the feedback, a sample if you were to take a test, what it will come to the very end. Click review mistakes. It takes you back to the first question you answered incorrectly, and then you can find out the correct answer. This will not change your score. Your score will remain the same up until you take another test. Okay. All right. So hopefully, as far as as you've worked with it a little bit, that you see that it's very easy to navigate through. But it does really provide a strong level of target instruction for our students. Another thing too, what I love about this, the way we've designed our pedagogy, is that it's a great support for parental engagement. And then also too for my foster families, if those foster parents want to get involved in their children's education. And I know that many studies have proven and will show when parents or individuals or guardians, whomever it may be, are involved in our children's education, our children do better. And the way we've designed this program allows for that type of interaction, because I don't have to be that mathematician. All I have to be able to do now is read the feedback to that child and help them with their homework. Okay. Um, how do you measure the progress? I'm sure that data is important for you. It is for many of us in everything that we do. There's a couple of ways. There's a manual report. It's called the Study Buddy Progress Report. I like to use this. I will put the student's name, put my name, and put the name of the cartridge here. I will put the lessons I want them to work on. I will put the due date that it needs to be completed by, and they simply can fill this out themselves. Put the date, the score, and the time on task. The date, the score, and the time on task. So there's 3 columns for that. All right. And what I would typically do is allow them to fill that out, because I want them to be able to track their progress too. Because sometimes even seeing that they're improving from 20% to 30% to 40%, that's such a huge encouragement.
Mhm.
Right. All right. And also too, you can keep that in their portfolio or whatever you need to do. But again, I have them fill that out, and sometimes I will have one for them. I'll let them keep, and I'll have one for myself. But now also too, we have it digitized. So what we put together is called the Gray Book. And again, keep in mind, this also too is not connected to the Wi-Fi, but it's an application that your social workers, your teacher, whomever is interacting with that student in this program, what they will do is install this on the computer, an application, and they will use this little device called the cartridge reader. Now, do you have to use this? No. You can go back and keep it manually. As a matter of fact, I have some McKinney Vento programs that don't even keep the data. I would encourage them that they should. They do as far as to be able to monitor how well the program is doing, the students' progress, those kind of things. But to be honest, some just want it for that practice and instruction. And I get it. And that's their decision. But in case that data trail is needed, this provides it. You can see how you can do it manually, but also digitally. And again, very simple to do, because all that you would do is put the cartridge in this little device right here, which is called the cartridge reader or the card reader. And then it would recognize it in the application as you see here. And then what I would do is assign this cartridge to the student. Then when the student takes that cartridge and puts it in the study buddy, it will have their name on the cartridge. And when they work on the information, and it will maintain their pre-test and post-test and also their time on task. They bring the cartridge back to me, and they can work on it for several days if they wanted to. But they bring it back to me, then I'll put the cartridge here, connect it to my computer. It takes about 3 seconds to upload the scores. And what you see is the initial score, the pre-test, the latest score, which is the post-test, and then the time on task. Okay. And then what you do with that data, you can save it as an Excel file, or you can save it as a report card, which is a PDF.
Okay.
Okay. So if data is important for you, got you covered. All right. All right. Let me step off of this. Let's go back to, I want to come back over here. Um, I can't remember which cartridges that I sent you. Do you have that device with you?
Yeah. Let me.
Okay. What cartridges is it mechanics or what do you have?
There's a couple. Let me grab them real fast.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. And it should say on the cartridge, on that label, mechanics or achiever.
Yeah, it looks like they're achiever and it's all there's math level 2 and level 5 and then language arts for level 3.
Okay, all right. So we're looking at the achiever series. So that's what we're looking at over here. That's so what we have within that, and that's a good sample. That you've got one cartridge for a level 3 math, one for 5 language arts. This what you're looking at here on the page here is a sample of the Tennessee content that I have. Language arts, I bring this up here. I mean, it's a pretty sizable cartridge that you have. And keep in mind, all of these lessons here are listed within that cartridge. And what you're able to do, I believe this is the Tennessee's I've got. I believe it is, yes. I work with so many states, I apologize if I got this mixed up. But anyway, as far as in each of these lessons I mentioned earlier has 30 to 50 questions. So what you have within that one cartridge, you have, as I mentioned earlier, you have hours upon hours of instruction. And what it will do, much like this, it will maintain the scores as in pre-test and post-test. And without spending too much time on it, just go back through what you're looking at here, again, is identical to what you'll see on the Study Buddy, with the exception of the bilingual support, English and Spanish. All right. I do have Spanish cartridges, but that is in our mechanic series, the basic skills series. We can go back and look at that in just a second if that's needed. But if not, then we can just push on. But again, the play lesson, every lesson has one. You've had a chance to look at that, hopefully, right? Did you see that? Okay. The study. And again, what I love about this whole concept of our study, our pedagogy, providing this immediate feedback, just like this, but then also too, going back when I take a test, clicking on test, going through all the questions, come to the very end and reviewing my mistakes. And the importance of that is with this immediate feedback that I can start working on correcting my mistakes now. And the great thing about it is too, if I'm a social worker and I'm working with 2 or 3 different students or children, and I have to give attention to one, then one is not waiting there just doing nothing. Because as I mentioned earlier, what you have in your hand is electronic handheld tutor. Okay. All right. So that's the going back to Cheever series. I do want to explain a little bit something once again about the mechanics. And I think you may have a need for this. Then again, if I don't know your students and what their skill levels are right now, what their assessed skills are, what you may need. But in case you do, this is our mechanics series. There's 3 math and 3 language arts. Level 1 is skills learned between 1st to 3rd grade. Now I click on this, and what we saw, that was the scope and sequence that we saw in the PowerPoint. All right. So you have all of these lessons here. That's in that one cartridge. So if you have a student, as an example, if you have a student who is in 5th grade, but maybe testing is or assessment is skill level, his or her skill level is grade 3, I encourage that you bring them here, bring them to the mechanics, because yes, you can use the Achiever series. That would be the TCAP series for grade 3. My only concern is, Brianna, that the design of the questions, the depth of the knowledge required in the program, and the rigor of the questions would be too difficult. Because as I look at this, let me just quickly bring one up here for you. And this is the most simplistic of the level 1, is the most simplistic of the cartridges, but we have 3 answers. So again, it's more of a foundation building series. So if you have those students who are 2 or more grade levels behind, I encourage you to take a look at mechanics. Okay. But the beauty about it is you can customize your purchase to whatever you want. All right. Let's go back over here. And since we're talking about the purchase itself, let's just go back to one other thing before we look at the actual package sizes, and then also to the different type of cartridges I have listed on my order form. One last thing, this is called the Media Reader. Now, we created this last year and it's become incredibly popular. What it is, it's a 4 GB cartridge, open cartridge that you can drag and drop. As long as it's a PDF file or MP4 file, you can drop as many of those as you want to on this cartridge, and then it will show on the Study Buddy. So if there's specific things that may be outside of the realm of what we provide academic enrichment for, but you want the student to be able to use that, but be able to use it on the Study Buddy platform. Why? Because it's Wi-Fi free and they can use it anywhere. Then you can, as long as it is a PDF or an MP4, you can drag and drop and put it on this and view it on the Study Buddy. So that's another component here outside of the academic enrichment that we have for the study buddy. Okay.
Mhm.
Last but not least is a pricing. And let's just, as you look at the pricing, for instance, I'll look at just, and you can see there's economy scale. As far as the pricing, there's the more that you purchase, there's some built-in discounts there. But for instance, a 25 pack. Now, what this means is 25 study buddies, and they come with their own carrying case that we saw previously that you have with you right now. 25 study buddies and 50 cartridges of your choice. Now, what I mean by that, let's come over to here. The Achiever series, that's based upon the TN Ready, the TCAP series, grade 1 to grade 8. And then, of course, math and language arts, we have a science, an elementary science, and a middle school science. If there's gaps in those in either the science or the social studies, I encourage you to take a look at these because they are rock solid series. I've had a lot of great response and results and feedback from those that are using these. Solid, very solid series there. So one cartridge each on that. Now for these, I have all of this in English only. So if you need Spanish cartridges, we need to take a step back up to this one, mechanics. Not only looking at mechanics for those Spanish cartridges, which as you can see here, but also too for our students who may be 2 or more grade levels behind. And one of the things, and I always encourage to take a strong look at this. The reason being, I think many of our students are not forced, but put in a situation that's almost too challenging for them. This may not be the same within your county, but I know in other locations it happens to be that way. It's almost like building a house with no foundation.
Hmm.
And when a strong wind comes, the house falls. Well, the same thing with our students. This this program, the way it's designed, it builds a rock solid foundation in the core subject areas of reading, writing, math, and vocabulary. Because let's just go back. You didn't see this, but let me go back here very quickly to go back to this, the language arts. Here it is. Here's the reading, the vocabulary, and the writing. So if there's skills, there's gaps in those areas, we can help you cover those gaps. Okay. All right. So now we've gone over the study buddy. We've gone over the content. Um, I'm not typically with the McKinney Vento, the GED in this series is not utilized or not needed. Okay. All right. So we're
Yeah.
focusing on this, but know that it's there. Um, as you look at this, first of all, are there any questions regarding, you had a chance to look at it, work with a study buddy. Are there any questions, any concerns that I can help answer those questions or maybe address those concerns?
Yeah, I think looking at the different packs, currently, I don't know that we would need the Spanish cartridges.
Mhm.
We do have EL students, but it's not a high portion of what our McKinney Vento students are right now.
Okay.
And one of the areas where our district is kind of struggling is just having the necessary amount of teachers to be able to support that. So I feel like we wouldn't be able to add that to their plate
Sure.
right now. So I think definitely looking at that Achiever series and then maybe the mechanics. One of the things that we were trying to navigate is because a lot of our families are so transient, if
Uh-huh.
we give the study buddy to them, like how do we ensure that we're getting those back? And so being intentional about the students that we give them to. And then
Mhm.
another thing that we were looking at is the charging part
Uh-huh.
um, of them is just, making sure that our families have access to be able to do that. We have a lot of them that live in hotels, and when you've got 6 people and 2 outlets, sometimes that can change things up. So there's some logistic things that we're trying to navigate, but I'm glad
Okay.
that we did this because what sounds like maybe easiest is if we can go through and look at our rosters and, select specific kids that this would be a really great intervention for just for their academics. That may be a better option than just ordering like 2 for second grade and,
I
5
got
for
you.
third grade, like that type of thing, like trying to
No, that makes
be
sense. Yeah.
more intentional about that. And I think, in terms of, where our money is at and justifying and those types of things, I think, our department would probably appreciate it as more of like an intervention tool for specific students as opposed to like just like a general kind of program tool.
Yeah, makes
But I do
sense.
think it could be, yeah, super helpful for some of our students. I'm thinking in particular, we have a child that is 7 years old, was with mom up until this point, mom decided he's going to live with grandma now. Grandma has never met him. He's 7 years old and has never been in school. And so now it's April and he's, joining school for the first time in his life. And so something like this, where he does have a stable housing situation right now, but grandma just doesn't have custody and things are kind of looking messy. Something like this to be able to do like additional supports for him, just to be able to practice outside of school in a way that is fun for him, would be huge, right? And so
Mhm.
there's definitely some situations where I think that that would be helpful. It's just figuring out which kids we want to get them for, and how many we can afford, that type of stuff. We're doing a lot of things over the summer for our students that we do annually, and so when we decide to purchase them, it'll probably be sometime over the summer after we've had our
Sure.
camps and can kind of see where our money is. And then we
Mhm.
can figure out how many we can purchase going into next school year. And then, choose the students from there, just to give you kind of like a timeline of where we would be at. But I do think this could be a really great option. Just hearing you talk about it, I feel like kind of painted a picture of what it could look like. We were
Yeah.
trying to figure out logistics, but I think it makes more sense now, which is good.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, as you look at also too, it's a device that's going to
Mhm.
last the district a long time.
Yeah.
It's not something that's going to be used this year, then it's can't be used again. I have some of these study buddies, the previous generation of study buddies out there in the field, 15 years that are still being used, and we still make cartridges for them. And again, I think that's a great testament on, especially when you're looking at your McKinney Vento funds, you know what you have this year. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, most of the funds have to be spent by the end of September. I believe, is that correct?
Yeah, there's we have
Yeah.
funding that'll expire at the end of this school year, and then funding that'll expire again in December.
Okay,
And then
gotcha.
yeah,
Okay,
so
okay,
there's a couple
okay.
different pots that we're pulling from.
Well, and that's again going back to look at the device. It's something you're going to be able to use not only this year with one or two students, but also in the
Mhm.
years to come.
Right.
So, and you have no idea. Okay, next year, then we still have the McKinney Vento program. The homeless children are still out there. So, how do we support them? Then you'll have a device that gives you that longevity of use,
Right.
a sustainability. And I think that's one of the things too. There's been going back to there's no annual fee, there's no additional cost to this. Training is included no matter what you get, Brianna. Training is included in these.
Okay.
If all that you purchased was a 5 pack, as far as in the staff development, and what I typically do is by way of Zoom or Teams or
Mhm.
whatever what you want to do, then we do it that way. If I'm in the area, then it's a possibility for us to come in. I mean, if it's, of course, if it's a large purchase and we have several teachers coming in for a 1 or 2 day training, yeah, we can work something out along those lines, but there's no additional cost to that.
Mhm.
And then also tech support, there's no additional cost to that. But even in the years to come, as far as in, can you, if there's help needed, if there's more training needed, refresher training, whatever the case is, the brainchild will be there with you and for you. And we've been around 35 years. It's not something that we're just going to drop it. So, okay, it's yours, figure it out.
Mhm.
And what I
Right.
love about our whole tech support, I don't know if you've ever tried to call someplace and you get a recording. You don't get a live human being.
Mhm.
That really frustrates me. And one of the things what we're very proud of, what we work on very diligently to do, is to provide that human touch. Because typically when you call, there's a situation. You have a
Right.
concern, you have a problem, you need it fixed. And that's what you'll get. So just keep that in mind too, as moving forward. And then I'm not sure what you have planned for this summer, but even stepping outside McKinney Vento, another group that I work with is called the Migrant Education. Migrant Education has used this programming a lot for Project Smart, for math projects, for those kind of things. So think about that too. I mean, that may be something, if it's not too late, to incorporate within your summer programs. I mean, it's just a tool that can be used in a variety of different ways.
Mhm.
So, but so I guess for right now, then let's just, I guess we need to hold off, or I mean, you've got the pricing there. What I can do, I can send you this order form so you'll have that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You could send us this sheet so that way I can see the pricing, so that way when
Yeah.
we're ready to purchase, or if we say, this is how many students, can we make this work? And just seeing that would be great. So that way we're ready. Are the camps that we're hosting,
Uh,
everything for all of that will be spent by the beginning of June. So we would be able to place an order between June and July once everything is kind of said and done. And then at that point, we'll have all of our back to school stuff purchased too.
mhm.
So we'll really have an idea of where we're at. And so that way we can know how much we have to invest in it. So.
One last thing too, as you can see here, of course, it'll be on the sheet.
Mhm.
Since you do have the funds, or you have the funds now this year before the year ends, if you want to expand your library, so let's just say if you were to if you buy 25 study buddies and you have 50 cartridges, you may need more cartridges. Well, if you do, at the time you purchase this, you can purchase additional cartridges for $40 a piece. That's a $10 savings. So typically they're $50. So
Okay.
just keep that in mind too, that if what I will do, we'll customize a package around your specific needs, and you don't have just to get what's all going to be fifth grade. You're going to customize whatever you
Mhm.
want in your cartridge selection. So you pick and choose whatever you want. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that all sounds great.
Oh,
Thank you so much for doing this and
oh,
just kind of
my
giving me a better
pleasure.
picture and stuff. Yeah.
It is my pleasure. If there's anything else, I'll go ahead and email this to you. Is there anything else that you can think of that may help you right now?
I
That
don't
I can
think
see.
so.
Okay.
Knowing the charge time and that type of stuff is nice. One of the biggest things that we were worried about. So our district, whenever we get the
Mhm.
devices, we'll have to inventory them. And so then at the end of the year, they will have to bring them back into inventory and just helping to keep an eye on things. And so we were thinking about if a family moves or they get to take it, then what do we do? And all the things. But I think
Mhm.
because of the charging time, if we could set up a system where the students would bring the devices back into the school to get them charged, I think that'll help
Mm,
just coming up with different incentives. And like I
yeah.
said, being mindful of the students that we give them to, I think will be helpful. So yeah, just the logistic stuff that we have to figure out on our end, but I think you did a
Okay.
great job of explaining all the things.
Well,
So.
thank you very much. One thing too, as far as in the charging, as I mentioned, I mean, you've got the amount of time there, but also too, what I love about the Study Buddy, unlike tablets, it has no street value.
Mhm.
Because you take the
That's
cartridge
fair.
out, you take that cartridge out, and it's a pretty little device that you can't do a thing. But you
Mhm.
put the cartridge in, then becomes a really strong educational tool for our students that will make a big difference in their life. So I'll end at that. If there's anything else moving forward that you need, you have my information. I'll send you the pricing form, the sheet. If you need any kind of scope and sequence, any kind of documentation, if I need to fill out a vendor's
Mhm.
package, I'm sure that I probably will. Whatever you need from me, don't hesitate to ask. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead whenever you send over the like
Huh?
different package sheets, if you want to send me your W-9,
Yeah.
that is what our bookkeeper needs to create you as a vendor in our system. And so that way she can just go ahead and have that ready whenever the time comes.
Would it help if I send you a sole source document too? I
I'm
don't.
not sure what that is, but maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what a sole source is, it just basically states that you can get this from nowhere else.
Got it.
And
Yes.
that way you don't have to put it out to bid many times as far as in because you can't purchase it from a third party. You can
Mhm.
only get the study buddies from Brainchild, and that's it. I'll send it just in case. If you need
Yeah,
it, then it'll be there for you. Okay.
that's perfect. Thank you.
All right. Sounds great. Listen, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Listen, have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye bye.